call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard. So this guy wrote me about a situation that he was going through with this girl that he met on Discord. And so here's the situation as summarized by ChatGPT. It says a couple of years ago, around 2019, 2021, I was fairly close with this girl. She had a Discord server with about 300 guys who were interested in her romantically. She was friendly with them, even though they didn't get anywhere with her. She's into nerdy stuff just like them. She looked like Zoe Kravitz from High Fidelity, and there were only a few other girls on the server. In the more extensive version, he talks about how a lot of these guys were just hanger-oners. I got news, guy. If you were one of the 300 dudes that were liking her, you were a hanger-oner too. And hey, it happens. And none of those other 300 individual guys, by the way, want to think that they were just hanger-oners or orbiters. No guy wants to think of themselves as being an orbiter. But dude, that's what you were doing. You, like these other 300 guys, were orbiting. You may consider that you were different from them, but I can assure you she saw all y'all the same. So just want to put that out there. Continuing, he said, I had a good relationship with her and another mutual friend. She didn't know we were friends, and I was probably the most alpha, in quotes, guy in her server. Most of the others were just orbiting around her. Like I said earlier, you were one of the orbiters. It's okay. There were two other guys she was close to, a shorter Filipino guy and a short black guy who had feelings for her. And this guy that I'm talking about is also black. He says, we played games together and got along, but I felt I had the best chance with her since we shared interest and professions. I got news for you. You didn't have a shot with her, but I'll get more into why that is towards the end of this. He says, we had a lot in common, gaming, music. She was quite responsive to my texts, which was new to me. I got comfortable and started texting her a lot, especially since I was dealing with the loss of my father. I confided in her, even though I knew I probably shouldn't. We were friends for about a year at this point, playing games together and sharing jokes. Well, you mentioned also later on that you already saw my videos about why basically trying to be open and vulnerable with women typically tends to turn them off. But more to the point, the fact that you were also texting a lot, and you said in your message, like, you knew that it was probably a mistake, you were doing it anyway. And this is actually a comment that I hear from a lot of guys. Write me and say, I knew going in, this was a mistake, but I thought she was different, or I thought she wouldn't be that way. And I'm going to show you guys, they're going to all be that way. Like, you're thinking you're dealing with this once in a lifetime special unicorn snowflake that you can be vulnerable with and you can overtext, and it's going to be totally cool because she's different. She totally gets me. She's almost like a dude. She'd vibe with me. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, women are women, and the majority of women are going to have the similar, if not same, response to you doing all these things that you think you should be able to get away with this one. So over texting women, over complimenting women, trying to tell them about your woes and have them be your therapist. No woman is going to be the exception to the rule of wanting to hear all that stuff. More often than not, they're going to be the rule. And I get it, because when you're talking to them up to that point, you haven't seen any proof of evidence that she's going to actually be the rule. So you're thinking she's talking to me different from all these other women, and she's like likes games also, and she's like just the most beautifulest thing. Like, of course she's different. That's your brain tricking you. Women are not different. Hey, I've been with women that I would consider they're unicorns, they're different from other women, this and that, and they still have reactions at times that are similar to other women. This is not a hit against women. It's just, if you know how women operate across the board, then it's going to be easy to know that when you're talking to one that seems like she's different, you still on the back of your head, but she's going to probably act similarly. And you need way more evidence than a couple of Discord contacts before you figure out if she's actually there. Anyway, continuing on, he says, we had a falling out. Oh, this part right here. Okay, so he said, we had a falling out over a single word I used that she didn't like. Now, going into this, you're thinking, okay, what could that be? Like, what could be one word that's going to suddenly change this whole thing around? I'm thinking, like, what the heck's going on? And so he had to come back and detail what that was, which I'm going to give you now. He said, my ex, who was a pastor's daughter, tried to get me into Bible study, but failed. She jokingly texted me, are you with another bitch? Referring to the girl that's the gamer girl. He said, we banter back and forth with his ex, but it's in good fun. She's a bit jealous that I'm not responding quickly. After a few back and forths, I reply to his ex again, yes, I'm with the other bitch. Can I hit you back later? Now, we're going to get into the problematic reason of this, the problematic reason behind this whole conversation. But the real crime here is, why are you talking to your ex? Like, do you guys have kids together? Do you guys like live in the same apartment complex? Do you guys still live together? Like, if you guys don't have any actual reason to continue conversations, why are you in contact with your ex? And I say this because I cannot be a hypocrite. I tell you guys all the time that if you're talking to a woman who has exes in the background, that you do not get serious with her until she gets rid of those exes. So now I got to be fair game to guys. Why are you having an ex in the background? And as guys, I get it. It's very hard to want to be the bad guy. Like when a breakup happens, we want to think, well, even though it didn't work out, I don't want to hurt her feelings by completely living her life. I could totally just be your friend. It's not going to cause any problems until you get with a girl or talking to a girl that you really like as a next relationship that you want to get with. But then you got your ex in the background making all kinds of comments, causing all kinds of problems, trying to show up at places where you and your new person are with because, oh, we're at the same party together. Oh my God, we used to sit together and blah, blah, this and that. Like, it just causes too many problems to have an ex in the background. So the fact that you're doing it is already its own huge red flag. Like, I would tell this girl, he's got an ex in the background. You need to back the freak off. Just real talk. I can't be a hypocrite. So I don't know why the ex is there. That's a question you got to answer for yourself because I don't know that full situation. But that's a really big, like, bad no-no thing that you're doing by having her in the background and talking to her in the first place. On top of, you then say to her in a chat, oh, yeah, I'm with that other bitch. And you and your ex have a jokey relationship, so you understand what it is. But I've always told you guys also on the show that sarcasm is the cousin of bitterness. So when your ex is saying, are you with that bitch? She's being jokey about it, but she actually means that shit. She legit means that she sees this other person as competition, as a threat, doesn't even like her, doesn't even know her, but doesn't like her. And so, yeah, she's going to call out her name. Now, as if that's bad enough, so that conversation happens. But then I tell the story to the musician girl and I show her a text as a joke. So you had a conversation where you called this girl the B word, and then you showed to her, hey, in the conversation, look what I called you. And I know that's not how you presented it. And you were thinking, she's going to get a kick out of this. Dude, she's a woman. And I don't care how different you think this woman is. Most women across the board do not like being referred to as the B word, let alone being shown that you, the person that's possibly trying to like them, is also showing that, oh, I also think you in this way. You're not thinking that you mean that, but she's thinking, does he actually think of me as a bitch? And you got to ask yourself, was that legitimately a fair thing to show her and to let her know about? And the answer is no. And some guys, unfortunately, they feel, again, their girl's a unicorn and they're different. And I can be completely honest and totally open with everything I'm doing about her and everything I'm saying about her. And you cannot. If you're having a conversation with your boys, with your ex, in any kind of way that is derogatory or talking about her or her habits or whatever, she's not going to want to get intel back. You're talking about her behind her back, especially from you. So that's where you messed up. Yeah, you're thinking, we just had to follow over a single word, but that single word is a major slur to most women. So how'd you expect her to react to that? Like, real talk. Continuing, he says, we're friends who often exchange jokes and even arguments while gaming, but this time she took offense to the word bitch, even though I wasn't directing it at her. But you said it in context to her, which to her feels like the same thing. And women only care about what things are making them feel. You made it feel as though you were calling her a bitch, and therefore, yeah, she has the right to kind of feel disgusted with you, guy. He says, I explained the context, doesn't matter, and we had a call. Despite the explanation, she starts distancing herself. Well, yeah, because a woman doesn't want to think that a woman wants to think that you're talking positively about her behind her back, not that you're the one that's actually calling her all kinds of names. So she's in right to want to distance herself. He says later, he spoke on the phone briefly, but she got into a car accident during the call. Her social media went silent, and I couldn't get in touch with her. I later found out she was supposed to meet a famous record label owner. I won't say the name, because in case she ever sees this, I don't want her to get pointed out, but it's a very well-known record label producer. Anyway, but the accident prevented that from happening. After days of silence, she finally texted me that she was okay, but nothing more. Then she gave my number to a guy from her Discord server who threatened me to stop contacting her. And, he's big and bulky, so he just basically said, hey, dude, like, shut the heck up, and hung up. All right. Then he says, I confronted her, and she confessed. We argued. She insulted me and said she didn't like me. We didn't talk for a year until we had a friendly chat on Instagram. I invited her to my Discord server. She accepted, and we had a short conversation. I don't plan on reaching out again. Meanwhile, my own Discord server grew with quality content creators, and I improved my personal life too. The guy who threatened me accused me of causing her accident and demanded money for her car damage. I suspect He did it to get close to her. That's the gist of what happened. Okay, so hopefully, guy, you like the summary that ChatGPT gave, but more to the point, right? So I've gone through the list of things that happened in my opinion on this, right? But with all of that said, ultimately, I do not feel like you had a shot with her. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But here's my 2 cents on that, right? Is that this girl's not real. I mean, she's real, but you met her on a Discord server and you're talking to her strictly online. I'm going to assume you've not met her in person. So this entire exchange of friends and feelings and whatever is basically a virtual simulation gone wrong. So because you have yet to meet her in person, you're basically like talking to her through the computer, and it's a simulation where you happen to be saying the wrong things and it's resulting in her having these wrong actions. But this isn't real. Like you're not in the same state as her. And currently, there's not a chance of you actually meeting up in person with her unless, God forbid, you either fly out to her or she flies out to you. This is not a real relationship. And so you have to ask yourself, why are you putting so much heavy emphasis into a relationship that's online, that's through text, possibly through video chat, that is ultimately not real? Like, it's not going to ultimately lead to either of you living near each other, being able to tactilely see each other, feel each other, touch each other. And this is the thing that a lot of guys do when they feel like there's really no shot at them getting girls in person, is that they feel as though I got to resort to online life because it's some form of communication. It's better than nothing. And I can still get the feelings of talking to a real person without me having to actually put in the work of doing that. Because doing it in person involves possibly facing in-person rejection. And not that online rejection doesn't suck, but in-person rejection sucks a lot more. But this goes back to, again, this is not a real relationship. It's not a situation. This is a simulation. Why aren't you going out there on your day-to-day and trying to meet women? Why aren't you on online dating where at the very least you could talk to people online that you could eventually meet in person, right? Like, I don't have the answer to those questions. So that's the question you have to ask yourself, and ask yourself, why is this such a heavy focus for you when, again, there are real girls in your real area, in your real life that you could be actually trying to get with on a more consistent basis and not have these texting mishaps or exchanges that, end up leading to like possibilities that aren't really going to happen.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class